Hi friends, today I wanted to share with you some of the things I do for the growing season to get my plants started. A lot of times I start a lot of my plants from seed because I feel like that is the cheaper route to go. I've actually read articles like, some people will plant a tomato and they say they'll spend $100 on a tomato, or they'll spend $100 on the plant or something. And I think a lot of those articles are basically assuming that you're going to go out and buy all this dirt, you're going to go out and buy the plant. And I tend to start everything from seed. Obviously, I reuse the dirt that I have or soil that I have, and then I try to add compost every year to it as much as possible. I'm very fortunate. I live in a county that actually sells compost for a pretty reasonable price. And I don't own a truck or anything, but I am able to haul it home in bags. And and I basically do try to top off my raised beds with this compost just to basically put nutrients back into the soil, because obviously as you're growing things, you are pulling nutrients out of the soil. So today I'm going to be showing you how I start my sweet potato plants, or slips. They're commonly called slips, so you might see them listed as sweet potato slips. There's a couple options on this. You can actually get slips from stores. I actually have never seen them locally in my area, and maybe I've just completely missed it, but I've never seen anybody selling sweet potato slips. So my only option has been to do mail order, and those tend to be really pricey. Most of the time I've seen them, they're like 25 slips for $25, and that just seems kind of unreasonable. I don't think I'm even going to grow $25 worth of sweet potatoes, but obviously if you can afford it, everybody has their own decision on how they want to do it. But this whole channel is geared towards growing, living on less and growing your food for less, obviously. And I like to try to grow as much as my food as possible, or at least every year I strive to grow more. So I feel like every year if I set a goal for, I don't buy garlic anymore. I'm actually working on my goal for not buying onions anymore. I grew a lot of onions last year. I still did have to buy some onions, but I'm hoping this year maybe I won't. So every year I try to do a little bit more. And so one of the things I want to grow this year, even though I've grown in the past, is sweet potatoes. I have a son that's recently gotten engaged and will be getting married soon, and his fiance was telling me that she likes sweet potatoes, and I thought, well, I actually don't like sweet potatoes, but everyone around me likes sweet potatoes, so I am going to grow them. And I actually don't hate them. I'm just not like a huge fan of them or anything. I will happily eat a sweet potato and have no problem with it. So anyway, I've decided that this year I'm also going to concentrate on growing a lot more sweet potatoes. So one of the things that I do is grow them two different ways, which I will show you. I'm just going to walk you through the process. But before we get started, I did want to stop for 1 second and ask you, if you like my channel and if you enjoy this video, to please remember to press the like button and the thumbs up, and also remember to subscribe to my channel and help me grow my channel. So okay, I'm going to show you the couple of varieties, and I'm going to show you the two different ways that I generally go about starting the sweet potato plants. This is obviously an option. If you can find them locally and they're a good price, then maybe that's an option for you, but not an option for me. So I have a couple of varieties. So this is one. This is the problem with growing your own sweet potatoes. Not like the ones you buy at the store tell you what kind there are. So this one, I have no idea what the name is. It is actually kind of like I'm gonna peel some of the skin off so you can see it's kind of like an orangey color, but the orange is on the outside too, which is kind of unique. I don't see a lot of them that way, but I guess different varieties are different areas. So this is, to me, what I consider the typical normal sweet potato available in my area. This is also like an orangey color inside. And this is, I just got in a bag, like 3-pound bag, for a relatively inexpensive amount. But I'd like to go ahead and try to grow as much of my own food, so I'm definitely going to attempt that one. The other kind that I have these are actually my own sweet potatoes that I grew last year. So I kept some of them. We probably ate majority of them pretty quickly, but I actually used some of them at Thanksgiving and everything, so it was kind of fun. But anyway, this is a Korean store variety that I pick up at the Korean store, and I am from Pakistan, and my mom always told me this is what sweet potatoes are like back home in Pakistan. So it's hard to tell because they're covered in dirt, but it's purple on the outside, and then it's white on the inside. And this is probably the one that did the best for me last year, variety-wise. I grew this variety, and then I also grew another one, which is, it's purple on the outside and purple on the inside. So I got most of these honestly at the local Korean store in my area, and then I just went ahead and started plants for them. So that's kind of what I normally do, but these are left over from last year. I purposely kept them because there's no reason for me to keep going and buying new ones, and I just set them aside. And as you can see, this one is already sprouting. So we are basically going to be going over the 2 different ways that you could start sweet potato plants. And the first one is going to be by using a jar, like a glass. I mean, I'm just using a canning jar in this case, but you could use a glass if you have a wide enough glass to put your sweet potato in. And so basically we're going to be using a couple of, this is probably the most inexpensive route to go, because you really just need a glass, you need a sweet potato, and you need a couple of toothpicks or some other thing that you could stick in there that would make holes in the sweet potato. So basically I will put the toothpicks in here, and then I've just put them, I just put them in the jar. I didn't do a very good job of this because the sweet potato is quite long, but I put them in here. So, or you could flip it this way too. That would actually work better. So then you want to put water down here. So just at the bottom of the sweet potato is getting water. Maybe like the last 1 inch of the sweet potato is getting water. And then the rest of the sweet potato is just, you know, sitting above the water. So what normally happens on this method is that you'll start seeing sprouts, and so this can vary from area to area. I live in a relatively cold area, so this doesn't happen very quickly. Sometimes it can take a month before I see any signs of life on this thing, but usually little sprouts start forming, little tiny buds start forming, and then they'll form plants. And once the plants form, then you just honestly just pluck off the plant from the base of the sweet potato, and you will put it in another jar of water, just like the bottom, because you basically are trying to root the bottom of the plant. It looks like a little plant. It'll probably be like, I feel like you should wait until it's at least 3-4 inches long, and then you just pluck it off of here and put it in another glass of water, and it will actually root. It will show roots in probably like a week. It happens really quickly that the base of that sweet potato plant will show roots. And at that point, the plant is actually ready to go in the ground. Now, sweet potatoes do not like cold weather. So if you live in a cold climate, you cannot put it out there until the weather warms up. I don't plant them until probably middle of May to the end of June, depending on how warm it is. They do not like to be cold at all. So this is one method of doing it. This is not the method that I will be doing. I'm going to be using a different method, but I wanted to mention this because obviously this requires no dirt, no nothing. You basically need a sweet potato and a couple of toothpicks. So this is always an option. Now I will, one more thing that I wanted to say is sometimes I will start multiple plants or multiple sweet potatoes, because sometimes instead of sprouting, a sweet potato will rot. Now these are not organic, so they're sprayed with something, I guess, to keep them from sprouting. So sometimes they won't sprout. So it's better to have like a couple sweet potatoes starting, maybe 2 or 3 of the same variety. Unfortunately, this one, I only have 1. So if this one rots, I'm not gonna have another option for this variety. But I'm gonna show you the other method that I use, and that is basically growing them in dirt. And the reason I like the other method is because I can put them basically in one area, in one container, and then let them be. In this one, I've got multiple jars sitting in my kitchen window trying to get sunlight on them. So I feel like this other method is easier, and I already have like a grow light set up in my basement, so I just will put these under the grow light. I am thinking of ordering a heat, like I forgot what they call them. It's like a heat pad for putting underneath your vegetables, because I've read that really helps them, because like I mentioned, they like heat. So we're going to go ahead and get started on putting these in the dirt, and I will show you how that is done. This is the bag of potting mix that I use. You don't have to use this variety. They sell at like most Walmarts, a Jiffy brand one. Okay, so I'm just going to add some of the soil I already have. This is really, it's all dried up, but it's okay because I'm going to break it down, and we're obviously going to add water at some point. But this is the mixture of the potting mix that I just showed you, and I normally have like a little container of it because I am doing a lot of planting right now and getting my plants ready for the upcoming planting season. So I just break this down, and obviously I am going to hydrate this, but I'm showing you just for an example. So you're gonna have to pretend that this is hydrated for our example's sake, because right now this is my dining room table. I do not want to put water on top of here, but I am gonna get a tray and put it in the tray. So, and I will show you after it's hydrated. But basically, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Tetris here, but I'm going to get these sweet potatoes like sitting in the dirt. I want them kind of half of them in the dirt, so they're like surrounded by dirt. And I might have to add some more soil to this. And so I'm just kind of, I'm just making a little trench for them and putting them in here. And then this is my other variety. And this is the last one. So basically I'm making a little trench for them. Most of the sweet potato sticks out. And if I can, I'm going to try and put just another one in here, because this is the variety that I really would like to grow more of. So I am going to go ahead and add water to this and show you what it looks like. So I just wanted to show you these. I went ahead and added water. I just put it in this container so that the water doesn't get all over my table. But basically, your goal is to get these like probably half sitting in soil and half uncovered, because the area that's uncovered is the area that the plant is actually going to start on. So within, I usually try to allow like 2 months for this whole process, because like I mentioned, this one and this one are not organic, and sometimes they do not grow. They have something sprayed on them. These will probably sprout faster, but sometimes they just end up rotting. So, I guess it's a 50-50 chance. But since it's not an option for me to buy the plants, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this. Anyway, so the plants will sprout on the exposed area of these sweet potatoes, and then you will just snip them off like I just said for the other example, and you will put them in a glass of water. And when the time comes and these actually sprout, I will happily do like a YouTube shorts just so you can see what I'm doing. But right now is the time to get these started, at least in my zone. And like I said, if you live in a warmer zone, this will probably happen quicker for you, but for me, sometimes it can take up to a month before I see any signs of life. So I am going to take this downstairs, put it under the grow light, possibly get a heat mat for it, which I think I most likely will, and hopefully I will have some sweet potatoes, and you will get multiple sprouts on each potato. So each one can grow like who knows how many. It just depends on the sweet potato, but sometimes I've had like 3 or 4 areas that are sprouting, and so you can get multiple plants off of each sweet potato. So that is basically how I go about starting my sweet potato plants / slips, and I think it's pretty easy and anyone can do this, and it's certainly very cost effective, because especially like if you go to a regular grocery store, you might have to buy like a bag of sweet potatoes, but I bought a lot of these at except for the ones I grew, I buy a lot of these at the Korean stores, and there you can buy like 1 sweet potato. So I like to buy different varieties and say, I'm going to try this one. They have a white variety too. That's a Japanese one I've tried in the past and have had no luck. And I've just basically given up on it. So you could get like 1 of each one and try different varieties and see which sweet potato you like. And certainly this is a great option, because at the grocery store you basically just get the basic standard sweet potato or yam. I know some people call them yams, so I don't know. Sweet potato, yams, whichever it is. But basically this is an option to start your own plants. I hope you enjoyed this video on how I start my sweet potato plants. There are definitely ways of saving money on gardening. I feel like if you just read articles, they kind of discourage you a lot of times against gardening, saying it's too expensive, you don't really save any money. But I feel like there's a lot of benefits in gardening, and there are ways to cut costs. You watch videos like this or read on it. There's definitely things on how you can grow plants for less and how you can grow your food for less. And I think there's other benefits. Obviously, if you don't put chemicals on yours, then you're growing basically organic food. That is one thing. And I think it does also give you food security. And I can't explain this to anyone, and I say this to a lot of people, but there is no comparison in the taste of food that you grew yourself. Part of it is you put your work into it, your heart into it. And I think anything that you put your heart into and really work hard to grow just gives you some satisfaction. So I hope you will try this out in your own home and try growing sweet potatoes this year. It's definitely not too late to get started. If it's maybe already warm in your area, then it's an option for you to buy them locally. But like I said, in my area, that's not an option. But I think it's not too late to get started on these plants. And I hope you will try this in your garden. And please comment with any suggestions you have on how you grow your sweet potatoes. I'm sure there's multiple methods. I certainly don't have the market on all the methods. I'm learning like anyone else. This is just things that I have done, and I just share what my knowledge is. There's probably people way more knowledgeable and can give some more comments on it. So I hope that you will comment below on things that you're growing. I would love to know what other people are growing in their garden, because I love looking at other people's gardens and knowing what they're growing. And then I would love to know any tips that you have on growing sweet potatoes. And thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you like this video. I ask that you please press the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.